Hey, my little cupcakes, I have a great story. I hope you enjoy it. A new kind of wild. Here we go on our adventure. Wren lived in a little white house on the edge of El Yunque. His days were filled with green and dirt and rocks and mud. All the bits of nature and magic a life lived on the edge of wild offers. So he was outside and got to enjoy the nature. Wren loved it. He loved being outside. Every day Wren adventures with dragons and chased unicorns. He feasted with fairies and campaigned with kings. He was using his imagination wherever he was in the green forest. Coqui, coqui, coqui. And every night Wren fell asleep to the flickering of fireflies and a chorus of coquis. It was a place of endless possibility where anything he imagined became real, at least until bedtime. This was his home. Coqui, coqui, coqui. Chorus of little coquis. Until the day it wasn't. It was no longer his home. He was leaving. He was leaving his grandmother, his abuela, and he's going. He's waving goodbye and all his adventure in the forest. Wren found himself in a brick and cement city. The friendly sounds of his forest were replaced by the mechanical creaks and beeps and buzzes of a place filled with people and progress. It was too loud and too fast. It made Wren's head fill up with everything and nothing. There was no room left for magic and no room left for wild. Beep, 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 beep. Move it. So he got brought to a city, and the sounds were so different. Without his wild, Wren was lonely and sad. So without his forest, he was so lonely. Look at him sitting on the steps, feeling so alone. Anna, who lived upstairs, was never lonely. She loved her building and she loved her city. It was a place of constant change with people moving through it like an endless parade. There was always something to see or do, and best of all, there was always someone to share it with. She loved her city. It was exciting to her. But Wren was lonely and she loved it. She loved the excitement and the noise and the hustle bustle of the city. So when Ava saw Wren, she sat down to meet him. "I'm Ava," she said. She asked him who he was and how he got there, if he had brothers, a father, a mother, if he liked the city or why he didn't. She asked him so many things so quickly, he thought his head would explode. When she finally stopped for breath, Wren tried to tell her why the city wasn't for him. But all Ava heard was a challenge. She heard a challenge, how she could make him like it. Ava pulled him from the stoop and into the busy city. She led him down colorful streets and sidewalks. They peeked into alleys, splashed in hydrants, and tried to find the rhythm of the street. But all Wren saw was gray, and all he heard was the screeching of brakes and the honking of horns. It was nothing like home. He felt homesick. So she tried to show him the excitement of the city, but he missed the forest and the sounds and the freedom. When Ava caught up to Wren, she asked him what was wrong. "There's no magic here," he said. "No wild. Everything is exactly what it is." "You're wrong," Ava said. Hadn't he heard the song of the city? Hadn't he seen the color in the streets? She spent all day showing him how could he not see. If only he would try a little harder, she thought. But Wren was tired of trying, so he went back inside. Homesickness swept over him like a wave, and he felt lonelier than ever. So Ava tried to show him how great the city was, but he just didn't see it. He was so homesick for his forest. Outside was a whole new world, one he didn't belong in. As he stared out the window, Ren saw Ava skipping across the sidewalk. She moved through her city like he had moved through his wild, with an air of possibility flickering around her. How did Ava do it? Ren wondered. Maybe she could show him how. Sorry I left, Ren said when he found her. I just miss my home. I've never lived anywhere else, and everything is so different here. I've only lived in the city, Ava said. I can't imagine living anywhere else. What is it like? So Ava said, I haven't lived any other place. Tell me about it. Tell me about your forest. So Ren told her about his wild, about the green and the trees and the rocks and the mud, and about the magical creatures that played there. He spun a tale of fairies and fantasy that he couldn't see on these drab city blocks. And finally, Ava understood what was missing. Ava understood what was missing and why he was feeling so lonely. What's she gonna do? She brought Ren down to the basement of their building. She showed him how the shadows could shift it, and introduce him to creatures who lived in the unlikeliest of places. Then she took him up, past Mr. Borges in apartment 4B, past the empty apartment with the red door, past stacked boxes and peeling wallpaper, all the way to the very top. She told him that the city had a rhythm and the music it played could be a lullaby or a salsa. Listen, she said, as she pulled him outside. Listen to the sound. So she tried to show him you can make shadows, you can hear music. It's all around the city. You just have to listen. The sounds were so jarring below, softened into something almost musical. With the city spread out before them, Ava showed Ren how bricks could become beautiful. It was a new kind of wild. They were all painted. The rainbow and all types of things were painted on the bricks. And she showed him how exciting that could be. And this time he could see it. There was a city painted on the bricks of the apartment. It was exciting and beautiful. Ava helped him enjoy the city and his new life. The end.